Hello, I'm Dr. Katherine Horton. I just would like to show you what's happening here. This is the window behind there, so you can see a window. And you can see the shots here being fired at my forehead again. It's absolutely agonizing. This is now in Germany, and I was attacked so hard yesterday that I was basically vomiting. I vomited 4 times just from agonizing pain, and I had to flee the house. I literally had to flee the house and report it to the police, these attacks. But they are just insane. And it's now very, very late. It's midnight. But also when I turn this on, it's extremely loud. But you can see the shots being fired here, but it's actually brutal. And there seems to be a humming noise, so I'll just turn it on briefly. Can you hear? And this is how it goes. This really fast beating pattern, I don't want to leave it on for any longer. But on top of that, there are just these brutal shots. And some of them, I mean, if I catch the middle of the beam, so this is roughly the size of my forehead. Sorry, the height of my forehead. There you can see it just being fired. And it's essentially being fired through that window, and that window comes down fairly low, so you can see all the way down to the radiator. And essentially my bed is here, so my head is being hit. And when I came here to Germany so I was here in March, April, and also in July. And in July they've ramped up the attacks, and from here, I fled from every room. I tried 3-4 different rooms, and in the end the cellar inside the home. Can you see that? I just don't, everybody's asleep, so I don't want to run this, but you can just see the attacks. And here I was lying in bed, and they fired such a hard shot through the window. Back then I had aluminium foil just hanging loosely on the window, and the shot that was fired was so hard it essentially hit the edge of the aluminium and shot straight through my skull, along my spine, and made my entire knees contract. And that is the sort of nonsense that the BND does to innocent civilians. Just, did you hear that? That was rough. And this is just being fired into my face. And I've just been really, really, really sick, feeling really nauseous just from all these things being fired up again. And it's just absolutely brutal. And behind the window there's a taller building. Okay, sorry, that's enough now. But from the tall building you can just, so 2 windows have been covered up permanently, and I think the shots are being fired from there. And it's absolutely brutal. So the way I had to sleep last night, just to try to block out the direct shots, is literally take a metal pan, and I felt that this was working quite well. So when you have this in front of your head, between you and from where the shots are being fired, that works quite well. But just look at this. So without the attacks, the actual radiation here should be down here at 0.02, and it jumps up to 6. And I would love to show you the audio as well, but it's now very, very, very late. So these are the sort of criminal attacks that the Nazis here in Germany are doing in the intelligence agencies. They literally just shoot you to pieces as an innocent civilian in your bed. These Nazis shoot you to pieces in your bed. That's what they're doing. And these Nazis work for the intelligence agencies. They are deranged, sick, worthless individuals. And they've just been given these electromagnetic weapons with which they can just shoot at people at will. These degenerate Nazi psychopaths. Today is the 23rd, actually by now it's the 24th of December. Here in Germany, that's Christmas. Look at that, being shot to pieces for Christmas. And when my mother and I, we went Christmas shopping, there was also again a stalker. Just stalking us, like so overtly. He was walking in front of us, waiting for us in the shops. He followed us into several shops, literally, all the way until I literally laughed him in the face. I just looked at him and I just laughed out loud. But this is the degeneracy of the intelligence agencies now. This is the Gestapo, the Waffen-SS, and the Stasi in one. And this is Christmas in Nazi land, called Germany in 2016, and having your head shot to pieces. Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas. It's the year 2016, and this is what we've come down to. And meanwhile, for those people who don't have Twitter, I just messaged a guy called Brian Q. And hang on, let me show you what he's written. So, you know, hang on, can you see? So I was, oops, sorry, so you can see. So let me bring you closer to the messages. And he said, he tried to explain to me what's happening to me, and he said your memory and thought process is their target. They are seeking to reconfigure your memory and thought process, meaning your normal cognitive behavior. They use torture to depattern your mind so they can then repattern your brain with neuroprogramming, behavior modification to death tactics, etc. Depatterning your brain with trauma and pain to disrupt your continuity of thought, erase your short-term active memory, etc. So they torture the victim into a state of functional disorientation, where the victim's brain is more easily tricked into accepting the remote neural attacks, impulse injections, etc. Your mind is somewhat scrambled now. It will take a while to adapt. Once you do, then call me and I'll try to help you. My advice, get out of Europe quickly if you can. Go to Ecuador, Bolivia, Nicaragua, or Cuba if possible. And I said, could you write me an expert testimony for the European courts? And he said, I already have. Google Brian Q and Discovery Channel. There's a link to a paper copy pasted by another person to Peace Pink website, which I wrote for my Discovery Channel interview in Managua, Nicaragua in 2014. Feel free to use it. It explains everything you need to know about the technology and how it works. The courts will not help you because they cannot. Courts lack the expertise to educate regarding this technology. I mean, what's so hard to understand? Having your head hammered with microwave beams. And few who have the expertise are willing to risk testifying on your behalf and becoming targeted individuals themselves. I went to law school and I can tell you the law only works where it can be applied. Plato stated all laws are meaningless because good people will always keep them and evil people will always find a way around them. The courts operate off proof, not speculation and conjecture. I'm not trying to discourage you. By all means, pursue your case. Just realize the outcome is stacked against you. They control the courts. My advice to you is flee Europe if you can, to Ecuador or Cuba, even Bolivia. These are leftist governments who are constantly at odds with the Europeans and Americans. They won't help you, but they won't necessarily hurt you either, because they distrust the Europeans and Americans. They will watch you closely, meaning those who attack you will have to be more careful. That translates into a better life for the targeted individual. There are targeted individuals are in Ecuador. I just left Ecuador a few months ago, everything stops, gang stalking, gaslighting, etc., except the directed energy attacks, which are still as brutal as ever. Flee Europe. I mean, why should I? This makes it harder for them to achieve their goal of creating a cognitive model of your brain to destroy you. Like, really. So this is what we have, and meanwhile they're trying to just utterly demolish my brain with just shooting into it with these massive shots. I mean, I ask you, this is the year 2016, this is Christmas 2016, and the men run by Dr. Bruno Karl and the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst, or whatever these Nazi nutters are called, are so fucking degenerate. They just shoot their own scientists to pieces for fun, to create a cognitive map of my mind. I mean, if they manage to create a cognitive map of my mind, it will just say one thing: you fucking dumbass wankers. Really? Is that it? Is that what the 21st century is? That you take your best and brightest and you shoot their brain to pieces because you're such a bunch of wanky psychopaths? Just look at this. So the next attack, which is really loud and really long, I will just turn on. See if you can... maybe if I can catch it. And literally I'm feeling physically sick from all the shots being fired into my brain, because essentially I have my head cooked, and the peak power that gets shot into my brain is not even representative of what's here, because I suspect that there are several beam lines. So there could be a beam line somewhere higher up, and there could be a beam line to the side as well, because in principle they can also shoot through walls. But the main line of attack comes through that window, and I can try to find the middle of the beam. I think somewhere here. Literally, they're just firing. They're firing away. Oh, I think I got the middle of the beam somewhere here. I mean, they're firing at my head, so I have to keep it head height. Oh, I caught an attack in the beginning, but this is just insane, essentially. There we are. Did you see that jump up? Sorry, that's enough because I don't want to wake everybody. So this is just insane. It's just like the attacks in Switzerland, but here from the German Nazis. So Merry Christmas, everybody. This is what we have become, or this is what they have become. Again, the intelligence agencies are degenerate monsters, like they've always been. A bunch of degenerate monsters.